Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Peace, Love, Joy, and Bliss Transformation Show. I am so excited tonight because I have a fabulous guest with me. Her name is Lorelei Robbins, and before I bring her on, I just want to give you a little bit of background on her. So let's get started because I know you are going to have a lot of questions to ask Lorelei here. So want to get started real quickly. So Lorelei has combined her unique skills as a spiritual astrologer, counselor, interviewer, and minister to create Robbins Cosmic Nest, Playground for the Soul, and Thank Your Lucky Stars Conscious Business Solutions. Now, I am going to bring on Lorelei because I want her to fill in the blanks for us and talk to us just a little bit more about what she's doing and how she got started. So, Lorelei, how are you?
I'm great, my friend. How about yourself?
I am well. It's so good to have you on the show.
Um,
And, you know, I've been wanting to have you here on the show with me for a while now. So I'm excited that you're finally here.
Me too. How perfect.
Yes, very, very perfect. So,
Well,
well,
wait till you see how perfect it is as we unpack all of this.
yes, yes. I'm excited. So before we go any deeper, let's go back to you. Lorelei, tell us a little bit more about you. I gave a very brief overview on you. So you fill in the blanks for me.
Well, let's see. Let me start with I'm going to be 70 years old this year.
Wow.
And I think I finally have a little bit of a clue in terms of what I'm doing here, what my purpose is. And, it just gives one pause to know that trust and faith are what really get us through because, my journey has been very much about learning to sing my song, so to speak. And my work is all about that, is people giving voice to every part of them. And it has taken me this many years to get to a place in my life where I'm more there than I've ever been before in terms of aligning these different parts of me. So, I've had in this lifetime, a lifetime of being many wonderful administrative jobs, secretarial jobs, working for people in New York City back in the 70s and then moving to Atlanta and going to work for a company that made a handheld astrological, they called it a computer, but it was a calculator. I knew nothing about astrology. This is 78, except I'm a Libra. That's all I knew at the time. But I was learning, oh, the sun in Virgo means this, the sun in Scorpio, Mercury. And I would go to trade shows as part of my job and I would demonstrate this and people would go, how do you know that about me? And I'd go, I don't know how I know that about you, but I know you've got this planet in that sign and I'm learning that that means this. Well, then I went into personnel and I had a small personnel consulting firm where I was the resource for a company that didn't have one. Well, I dragged the astrological tool with me as the way to understand. Like if I was recruiting for you, it's like the more I would know how Donna is wired, and we've never met, but I have your chart and I'm looking at, wow, what interesting expression. But the more I would know that about my client, the better job I could do to help them hire someone who was suited energetically for the job as
Absolutely.
because again, there were and we still know that there's so many people doing things that don't speak to their soul, that don't speak to their spirit. So I would go, well, no wonder this person's been a bookkeeper. They've got all this earth energy. No wonder they can't sit behind a desk. They have all this Sag energy. So for years, I'd walk people out of my office condo and I'd say, by the way, I'm an astrology buff. Do you mind telling me your birthday? And somebody would say November, whatever. And I'd say, oh, Scorpio. And I might say just a few words. And what I would see is that people would be thirsty, not because I was saying it, but they were thirsty for information about themselves, like help me connect to who I am. And everything's inside. My business and counseling model is the Wizard of Oz because it's all in here. So I've had iterations as all these administrative jobs. I went to college at 21 and majored in German and French, and I graduated at 24. They hired me to teach German. And so up at Oswego, New York, up on Lake Ontario. So I taught German as I was getting my master's at Syracuse University. And then it was like, do I get a PhD in German? And it was, no, that's not the language that I want to speak. Anyway, so later on, moving to Atlanta, going to work for this crazy company, that made this handheld thing. We went to Germany. I went to trade shows, and again, I would demonstrate this and I would be stunned that people would respond to what I was saying about how they might be wired. So my whole journey with the astrological piece of what I do has been over 30, 35 years in personnel. Well, then at 61 in 2009, I had the opportunity to go to graduate school. And so I went to graduate school, got my master's degree in 2013 in counseling. And so the last 4 years have been, much like so many of us are reinventing ourselves, how do I marry the spiritual relationship astrologer with the counselor, with the interviewer, and the minister? Yes. And so the moniker, if you will, that one of my coaches gave me at one point was, and it so fits how I'm wired, is Dream Accelerator.
Ooh, I like that.
That's what I actually call myself. Most
like that.
Yeah, because it's not about doing somebody's chart. You could do somebody's chart for days. You could give them data upon data upon data that they may never be able to use. Do you know what I'm saying? To apply in their lives. So it's more about, where are you in your life? What really jazzes and juices you? What's your Oz? What are the obstacles? Are we willing to make changes? And then, okay, well, here are all these different parts of you that need expression. So you're a creative person. We're all creative because anything that comes from the heart is creative, but you're in the creative arts. And so, often people in the creative arts tend to relate more easily and organically to this, but the beauty of the cast of characters is we can consciously give voice to parts of us rather than, and this is where we get into relationships, rather than, oh, let's see, I have this courageous, confident, angry part of me, but I'm not really in touch with it, or I really haven't gotten to know it. So let me project it onto you over here, and let me see you as the disowned parts of me. So this is where relationships, and of course then bringing the tool of astrology to relationships, which can be so forgiving. It gives us a language to be able to articulate things that can be humorous, that can take that edge, that bite off. You made me feel this way, because that's really unconsciously, that's where most of us want to hang out if we're unconscious. I feel this way because you did this to me. You said this, you didn't do this. And because of what you did or didn't do, I'm feeling this now. That's really see, my belief is whatever's going on in relationship is giving us an opportunity to meet parts of us, parts of us that we may be less conscious of. So I call it, every match is made in heaven, beginning with the one right here.
Okay. So you brought up something consciously. Now, I know we are drawn to whoever we're drawn to. Mm-hmm. Are there people from our sign? So yes, I'm Scorpio. Are there people that I should just stay away from? Does that even make sense? Is that even a thing?
Yeah, that is a thing. And that's one of the unconscious things. Like when people will use astrology as the projection. Like, I've read that Scorpio and blah, blah, blah don't get along. Right. So just recently I heard from a client I hadn't heard from in a long time, and she said something about, I heard that Leo and Capricorn, that to me is astrological malpractice. Because when people say, let's say, if they're wanting a, let's say, romantic relationship, and we've looked at how they're wired, and then they'll say, well, who should I be looking for? That sort of thing, which is so, just like in personnel, it's kind of like, well, who's the ideal candidate? This is my response. Allow yourself to be attracted. Trust yourself enough to be attracted to whomever you're attracted to, and then look at why.
Ah,
As opposed to, well, let's say I'm a Scorpio and I know that I'm compatible with all the earth and water signs, but you have the moon in Sagittarius, which is fire, which means you're, quote, compatible with all the fire and air signs. So that makes you compatible with every person in the zodiac.
nice.
Conceivably though, any two people can be, I don't even use that word in my work. I don't use the word compatible because that is so in the eye of the beholder.
Mm.
Because any two people can be compatible depending on how much energy we want to channel into a relationship. But if you know how you're wired, it's so much easier to be conscious and create relationship from a conscious place as opposed to an unconscious place, which is where I'm still projecting my crap onto this person. Now, the interesting thing is we also project positively. You know, when we see something in someone and we go, oh, I love how enthusiastic he is, or I love how gentle and compassionate, that's positive projection. So it's all an opportunity to get to know us is the point.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay. Because I wanted to know, and I know there are some people who are thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't be with this person, because I'm Gemini or I'm Scorpio and Geminis and, all of that. So thank you for clearing that up. People need to know that.
Yeah, and let me say, if I may, a big bracket around what you just said. Whoever anybody is with, whether in a romantic relationship, a business relationship, a family, a friendship, whoever we're in relationship with actively is exactly who we're supposed to be in relationship with. They bring the greatest gifts. We may not always get all the gifts of each relationship because, relationships never die or end. They change form. So we may not be married to someone anymore. Someone may not be in the physical body anymore, but relationships never die, just like the soul never dies. So we still have relationship with someone that we are no longer in a marriage with, or no longer our mother makes their transition or our father. Again, that's the beauty of understanding why we've come together with anybody in this lifetime.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, one thing you talk about, I want to switch subjects just a little bit, but you talk about your brand is in the stars.
Yeah.
Does that only apply to someone in business?
No, and I love that you asked me that because, this is what I would say to anybody now. This is the time for new and ingenious and innovative and brilliant, unique ideas and creations that can find support on the planet in traditional ways. And in other words, taking our genius. So I came up with this through my experience that, we talk about branding all the time, right? Usually for people in business. What's your brand? Your brand needs to be consistent. What I'm saying is we are all a brand, whether, you and I are in business. But even if someone doesn't have a business, they have a brand. In other words, we all came in with a certain signature that I believe our soul and God agreed to. And so we came in with these talents and abilities. That's our brand. And if we're in business, it's, I see it all the time, people expressing their brand. But again, so to those who aren't in business, we're a brand because we're here to attract the people we're to be in service to. So however we're to be in service on the planet, by being who we really are, which by the way is our life purpose, another question, but because again, we talk about life purpose so often, right? People go, well, I want to know what my purpose is. Where is it? Is it under this bushel? Is it under the tree? Where is my life purpose? It's like, where can I find it? Right here. Our life purpose is to be who we are, in my vernacular, is to express our cast of characters, is to give voice to all these parts of us. That's what our purpose is. It's not a thing that's outside of us. Our purpose, the vehicle to express who we are, will present itself when we express who we are. You
Yeah.
know, that's why one of the first questions I ask anybody who's going to work with me or whether they're considering working with me is, what jazzes and juices you?
Yes.
On any level. It doesn't matter what it is. One of the things that jazzes me is sitting on our back porch and deck looking at the cows in this beautiful pasture that looks like a tableau in our backyard. That jazzes and juices me. This jazzes and juices me. You know, seeing you, stepping out, expressing who you are, you know, expressing, again, you've also got a Leo character.
Ah,
That's the meaning and purpose of your life. The planet Jupiter in the chart. Jupiter is the planet of what gives our life meaning and purpose. It's also what I call the contract with God and the universe. Your contract is Leo, and Leo is the star. Leo is the performer. Leo is the child. Leo is creative self-expression. Leo is the joy and play and fun. It's not your Scorpio nature. Nothing that I just said is your Scorpio nature.
really?
Right. Your Scorpio nature is the therapist, the researcher, the editor. Let's get to the bottom of things. You know, I mean, let's uncover the secrets. Transformation. That's a Scorpio thing. So
Yeah.
there's part of your brand. And your rising sign, your persona, or what I've always called the interview personality, you know, how the person presents themselves, their costume, your rising sign is Libra. Well, Libra is peace.
Ah.
What's the first word in your show?
Peace.
Exactly. Joy. I mean, again, so
Bliss.
Bliss. See, you're actually you're a softer Scorpio.
You know what? I think so too.
Yeah. You're that stinger of Scorpio, which is about the prober. That's what Scorpio's about. Again, you have a very strong Neptunian flavor in your chart. Neptune is the planet of dreams. It's the planet of compassion. It's the planet of kindness. So that stinger, it's there, that being able to get to the bottom of things. I mean, Scorpio's like classic troubleshooter energy. You know, although we really shouldn't say troubleshooter, we should just say depth charge.
Yes.
You know, because it doesn't necessarily have to be trouble, but people with Scorpio energy can do very well in emergencies usually.
Ah.
You know, they can jump into the fray, you know, jump into the but as I said, you're quite and again, we only know each other in this venue, but you know, I would say you're quite an idealist. And given the name of your show, I guess that would certainly play out, wouldn't it?
That's so
I mean, you're just putting it out
there. Yes. And the crazy thing is, I love this because that's what felt good to me.
Yeah.
But now I wonder, what if I was more conscious, and you talk about the brand is in your stars, and
But look how conscious you were. Look how conscious you were in naming. I mean, you intuitively, and again, well, first of all, Scorpio's water, so Scorpio is already intuitive.
yes.
But you happen to come in with the planet of spirituality and dreams and inspiration and imagination, Neptune, which is also all the creative arts, TV, radio, whatever, next to the sun. So, yeah, but so intuitively, I mean, I would say your intuitive faculties, capabilities to read a situation or to read a person, I would bet on all day long. I mean, I would say it probably takes you, 30 seconds, maybe a minute to size up something.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that true?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, so again, the conscious use of energy is, so yes, you're about transformation. Actually, with that Neptune there, you could talk transformation with kindness, with compassion, with gentleness. Because often we think transformation has to be, okay, I'm jumping into the cauldron again.
Right.
Which that's part of it as well. It's magic. Scorpio's magic. It's the alchemy. It's the transformation. So, I would imagine that in your imagination that part of and I don't know this because we've never talked about it, but I would imagine part of the impetus for the show would be to create magic in some way to transform the listeners, the viewers, the whatever through what you're sharing, essentially.
Absolutely. Yes. And through all those things, peace, love, joy, and bliss.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Yeah.
I just feel like those are, for me, that are important areas where I believe there's a lot of transformation can take place, of course. So, yeah.
And you're speaking part of your brand. Peace is Libra. That's your window to the world. Joy is Leo energy. That's the meaning and purpose of your life, astrologically. And of course, transformation is so much what Scorpio is about. So for me to witness that, that is one of my greatest joys, because that means your energy is flowing, and it's not. And so when our energy doesn't flow, it's not, we don't need to criticize or judge it. It's a question we can shift that.
Yes.
But to see that you're allowing the creative flow through you. So when you say, if I've been conscious, you obviously were tapping into your unconscious and your conscious. That's why it's always so thrilling for me to see whether I'm involved in helping the person do that, or it's just happening because they're intuitively feeling it. My level of joy is the same, which is interesting now that I say that. That's very interesting. It is. So it's not about if I'm making money doing what that is.
Right.
It's the joy of that wonder and that delight. Now I'm a Libra, but I also have a Leo character. So part of my brand is the joy and the play. That's why my website is playful. It's to engender joy,
Yes.
in the sense that even if things suck and we don't have a clue, we can still feel joy inside. There can still be that flame. Happiness may be another thing in terms of, I'll be happy if this happens or happy if that happens.
Right.
But joy is a state of being that is not necessarily touched by outer events, I believe.
Okay. So now, Lorelei, I don't know if you know this or not, but I have a twin sister.
No, I didn't know that.
And we are 6 minutes apart. I was 351. She was 357. And so Deborah says, would that be the same when you are a twin? You and I are different. So the same thing where you and I were talking about, or where you were talking about, I have Leo in me and Libra. Now, Deborah and I, of course, being just 6 minutes apart,
yep.
Would we have about the same chart?
You would, but here's where it's interesting. So, and I love that that's come up. That's beautiful, because yes, so twins in this case, you're pretty much coming in with the same inventory. You're coming in with the same raw materials. The choices may be different.
Yes.
So sometimes you've got twins that their lives parallel each other, and other twins it doesn't. But again, so each one is making their own personal choice around how to use the energy. So, and of course, the more people share the same signatures, astrologically, to me, the more responsible we are in the relationship, because we're going to see ourselves coming and going. In other words, you're going to see everything that's in you in your twin. The man that I'm in relationship with, we are born 9 days apart.
Wow.
And we have 9 planets in the same sign.
Wow.
And I remember and we've known each other for years, but it was about 5 years ago that the relationship took on the form of, romance. And I remember saying kind of laughingly, wow, I'm really going to see myself coming and going. Well, I see myself coming and going. It's like I see those beautiful Libra traits that I so love, the charm and the grace of Libra. And then I see that accommodating, people-pleasing that's in me, So I say to him often, we're really courageous because, again, if people think about it, the whole mirror thing is happening all the time anyway. Well, if people are sharing a similar astrological signature, even if it's not the same part of their personality in that sign, but the same energies, they're going to see that, So in other words, for instance, and I know nothing about you and your sister, but let's just take Jupiter, that the fact that the meaning and purpose of your lives astrologically is joy, is play. So one of you could be very comfortable in that form, because Leo's very different than Scorpio. Leo is out there, and Scorpio, as you know, I'm sure, is much more reserved, much more play it close to the vest, so again, you could each do that interesting dance, interestingly, in other words, that wherever that flow is between being comfortable being seen and playing and actually, kind of maybe holding back a little bit until you play. I don't know. I don't know if you two like do that in this similar and differently, one more Scorpio, more Leo, or you may do a balance with that. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, actually. And it would be awesome to see Deb and I do both of our charts. I think that would bring, for the both of us to see where there are some similarities and some differences, because we are kind of night and day. We're not identical twins. We are fraternal twins.
Right.
And,
but you share the same astrological signature, though, which is so interesting because, again, it's that whole seeing parts of yourselves in each other with a different language. So let me just play with this for a minute. Can I do this? Because it's coming up for me to say this. Yeah. So here you both share this Leo energy, that the meaning and purpose of life is joy and to be open-hearted, right? But you're Scorpios, which is we're going to hold back. So as I said, one of you may be more comfortable in the Leo costume, so to speak. The other could be jealous or could want the same. So in other words, my point is, you have such an opportunity for intimacy because it doesn't get more intimate than Scorpio. And we're obviously not just talking sex. Intimate means I let you see me. I reveal and expose myself to you. I don't pull any punches. I'm honest about, and many Scorpios, it takes them a number of lifetimes in this lifetime to be comfortable with that. Yeah. Because Scorpio wants that depth and intimacy that comes from full disclosure. So really Scorpio is actually a very loyal sign. It's a very loyal energy. It really wants to bond and mate at a very, at a very primordial level, if you will. But so again, it would be interesting, as I said, especially that Scorpio Leo, because as I said, in both of you, to see sort of how each of you, the gifts that you're there for in each other, because they're twins that get along beautifully. There's some that don't, but the point is, it's still the mirrors. It's still that, wow, what I see in you that I see in me.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And, she threw up another question. She says, as I was listening to Lorelei speak about your Scorpio traits, I started to see more and more similarities as we both like to train and transform others.
Interesting. Yeah. Because Scorpio is not content to take things at face value. It's not content to keep things on the surface. There's always that, one of the messages, because we're still in the full moon phase now until tomorrow. And so one of my full moon messages about this particular full moon that we're in is making the unconscious conscious more than usual at a full moon, because this full moon is dancing with the planet of power, with Pluto, which is one of your and your sister's guardian angel planets, Pluto, the planet of power. So this particular full moon is an opportunity for all of us to see anything that we've repressed, that we haven't been aware of. It could come right up and we go, oh my gosh, didn't know that was running me on an unconscious level. Because really, what the decision is now for all of us, whether we have charts done or not, is, are we going to live consciously or unconsciously? Okay. And understanding how we're wired gives us the opportunity to decide, or to see, oh my gosh, I see where I've been unconsciously. I'm a Libra with 2 planets in Scorpio, so I have Scorpio. So I'll speak, so in other words, conscious Scorpio energy is all the things that we've said: magic, transformation, getting to the bottom of things. Unconscious Scorpio energy is betrayal, jealousy, control, manipulation, coercion. But see, again, I believe if we don't own it all, because, you know, the shadow and the dark side, that's where the power is. And that's what Scorpio's about. Scorpio's about, can I own my dark side and shadow? Can I, because there are only so many human issues that we swim in, you know, we're all sad, we all get jealous, we all get scared, we all get depressed, we all, I mean, you know, they're only there's just a certain pool of human emotions, you know, and we all kind of swim in that to some degree. So to be able to say to oneself, oh, I can see when I snapped back at that person that I was just feeling, you know, whatever. Oh, then one can make a decision to be more conscious, you know, because in every relationship, interaction, or transaction that we heal, you know, that we're honest and revealing, we're not just healing the relationship, we're healing the planet.
Yes.
Every time we take back a projection, especially a negative projection, every time we call it back home, we're doing something to heal the planet. I believe that.
So are you seeing a lot of shifts in relationships around this full moon?
This full moon, and because this is a year where the planet of expansion is in Libra. So the greater truth and the greater wisdom is coming in collaborative, cooperative, and co-creative opportunities. And, you know, when we talk about collaboration, like you and I are collaborating right here,
right.
You know, but a collaboration could be a lunch with a friend where there's an exchange of information of two people sharing with each other, you know, where both feel supported, both feel encouraged. You know, they may not be creating a summit together or a business partnership or a marriage or whatever, but really this is a year, I think, for all of us to remember that we're not in it alone, that we can be more of who we've been ever, and attract the support of others to collaborate with us to help us move along, you know, the journey of life. As we're going in this direction of, you know, showing up totally. And as I said, the growing up piece, you know, people say, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I mean, I heard that in personnel all the time. Maybe I'll figure it out when I grow up. That's almost a projection. Let me not deal with that now. I'll figure it. Maybe I'll grow up. Growing up to me, Donna, is showing up with all that we came in with.
Ooh.
That's what growing up is. Growing up means I own this part of me. I own that part of me. I'm going to be conscious of that part of me. And I'm going to ask to be shown how to be in service to others, being all of who I am, which when we're being who we are in service to others, it doesn't get better than that. I mean, that's the spiritual law of Dharma.
Yeah.
That's what people are thirsty and hungry for now. That's part of the reason personally there's so much change going on. You know, old structures are dying, old ways of definition are dying, and people are having to define themselves. And, you know, that wow, the safety and security doesn't necessarily come from the 401k or from the paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
While it's a challenging time for sure and can be scary, I don't think it's ever been more exciting to be alive now.
Nice. And so when you're talking with people, are you really helping them to, I guess, you know, relax into going with the flow?
Relax into going with the flow and trusting their internal wisdom.
Yes.
It's the trusting their internal guidance, because, you know, the whole trust and mistrust comes very early. You know, that the first stage of psychosocial development, Erik Erikson, is between 0 and 1 year of age, and it's mistrust, trust versus mistrust. So, you know, a lot of us have learned to not trust ourselves, and and the pendulum is swinging more the other way, trusting the internal guidance, the internal sense, which is why, to me, the Wizard of Oz works so well for me in my business, because it's all the lion had the courage, right? The Tin Man had the heart, you know, Dorothy had the home inside, the Scarecrow had the brains. So if we have a desire, if we have anything that we desire with harm to no one else, it's the will of the divine for us, I believe. And I also believe that we are wired for the mechanics to its fulfillment as well. Otherwise, that desire, to me, would not have been placed in our heart.
Absolutely. Now, Lorelei, I'm going to ask you if you would back up just a moment, because you had mentioned Dharma. Can you give us, talk to us just a little bit about Dharma?
Yes, and if I will, what I'd love to do around that, because Dharma fits under the sign of Capricorn and the planet Saturn, which is the planet of Capricorn. And to me, let me say this quote from Martin Luther King, because this speaks to the spiritual law of Dharma, which is, use me, God. Show me how to take who I am,
Yes.
who I can be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself.
Ooh.
That's what Dharma is. Dharma is, show me how to take these raw materials that I came in with, Lord. Show me how to use them in service to others, in service to the planet. So that's what Dharma is. And the chart is such a quick way to get in touch with things we know. You know, people have a sense of who they are. They don't necessarily need to name it or label it. It doesn't matter. But when I see people waking up to the song that is inside them, you know, and waking up to giving voice to these different parts of them, there's not too much that gives me more excitement, because it's my journey too. You know, it's my journey too. I didn't think it was going to take to 70 to figure some of it out.
Right?
But, you know, as they say, the fat lady hasn't sung yet. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know, one thing I want to ask you, because we're talking about relationships, of course, and when you talk about with relationships, your mantra is every match is made in heaven.
Yes.
What does that mean, and how did you create your 7 relationship truths?
Okay, so I came up with every match is made in heaven, and I'll tell this story quickly, but it's interesting to me. In 1992, I was in the same expansive cycle that I'm in now. The planet, I am a Libra, so I'm in a 12-year cycle of expanding beyond how I've defined myself. I don't know what a lot of that looks like. I'm open to that now. Well, I was in that same place in 92, and a client of mine said, why don't you start a dating service? And I said, well, I can't start a dating service, but I'll start a matchmaking service. I liked the term better. And I called it Match Made in Heaven, right? Because at that point, people will say, oh, that's a match made in heaven, but that's not a match made in heaven, but that's a match. And I'd look out at my logo that was 2 red hearts and a black arrow. This is back in 92, right? 93. And I'd go, you know, if I ever do that again, it's not going to be match made in heaven, because I would have cosmic connection parties. I would have these parties every month where people would come to meet people, of course. But what I would see is they were meeting exactly who they needed to meet to learn about themselves so they could create, if that was the romance that they wanted, so that they could create the romance. So that's when I would look out at my thing and go, it's not match made in heaven, like certain matches are ordained in heaven and others are not. And I thought, if I ever do anything with that again, it'll be every match is made in heaven. Ooh. Nobody's in our life by accident. Nobody. No family member, no friend, no business associate. Everybody's in our life for really one reason only, no matter what form the relationship takes, and that is so that we know ourselves better. Whether it's to know parts of ourselves that we love and adore, and we go, oh, I'm so glad that I'm in relationship with this person because I see these wonderful parts of me. Or it's parts of us that we have put underground, or we've repressed or consciously suppressed. And we go, oh my God, please, I don't want to go to the family reunion because I can't stand being around that sister. You know what I mean? Or that brother, or it's not about the brother or the sister or the former spouse or whatever. They are all showing up on cue, playing the part that we wrote for them. And if the part's not working anymore, then we get to re-script them, is what I believe. So every match is made in heaven is, if we believe that, and you know, some of this comes from A Course in Miracles, which basically talks about, you know, every relationship is a holy encounter, and that we can lose or find ourselves in every single relationship. And I believe that. I believe we can lose a part of ourselves and we can find ourselves. And in some relationships, we do both. You know, on a daily basis. I found myself, I lost myself. I found myself, I lost myself. You know, we lose ourselves when we give the power over there, Don. When we make what's going on for us about that other person's behavior or their whatever they, again, did or didn't do, did or didn't say. And, this is a year really where we can let other people off the hook. Off the hook, meaning whatever relationship we have with them, like I said, is the one that we've designed, and we can design it differently now.
I like that. I like that you said that this is the time we can let people off the hook. I think that is so important in relationships, because not every marriage is, going to be there through until the person, until death do us part, type of a thing. And I love that you said, let people off the hook. Let yourself off the hook.
And if we know that relationships never die and never change form, and I love when people will use the astrology there. They'll go, well, I married a Taurus, I'll never do that again, or he was a Taurus, and I'll go, is the person, are they still alive? Yes. Well, then they're still a Taurus, but we put them in the past tense. But yet their energy whatever the energy exchange has been with anyone, it changes us forever. And so we might as well be more aware and conscious of what those interactions are about. So if there were ever a year for us to mediate any unrest in any relationship, this would be the year for people to be able to come together in unity, in unification, to be fair, to have an honest and equal exchange. I mean, that's really the possibility now, and I'm seeing that all over the place.
Absolutely. That's it. Boy, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. And so can you talk a little bit about your seven truths? Seven truths.
And it's funny, I didn't download them. I don't have them I have them memorized. They might not be in the order that I gave them to you, but I created them out of my own experience, and none of them are original. They're not like I invented any of those. I've learned from different masters, different things. And the first truth is that the first relationship is here. Is here with the Lord of our being, as I like to say, but I mean with our own soul. That's where the first relationship is.
So are you saying, when you say soul, are you saying self?
I'm saying higher self, soul, the divine, which I also think is the inner child. I mean, I think the soul is the inner child. And then the second truth, which, boy, that for me was hard one to understand, is, and again, this is just my own belief, that happy, fulfilling relationships can only exist when we become our own parent, our own best friend, and our own partner. When we, in other words, forging those relationships. And it took me 5 marriages to figure that out. To figure out that I had to have the relationship here, because people, Libra energy, not all, but people that have Libra energy can tend to look outside themselves for the connection, and that's what I'm saying. For me, it took a number of marriages and relationships to get that connection had to be in here. And it really pissed me off when I knew that it wasn't going to be about something from out there that was going to make me feel a certain way, right? Then, another truth is what I said just a little bit ago. We script everybody. We write the script unconsciously often, but can you imagine getting conscious of the scripts that we wrote?
Yes, boy, what would that look like?
Yeah, exactly. And go, oh my God, how perfect is that? Now I can write it differently. Another one is relationships, again, never die or end. They change form. What we see in others that we love is in us. What we see in others that we don't is in us is another one. I think that's the 6th. Maybe I left one out, but the 7th one that's the one that's original, I guess, because I learned, the not changing form. I learned that from Marianne Williamson. She's the first person I really heard say relationships never die, they just change form. And it helped me because I think at that time my 3rd marriage was changing form. And I was in lots of guilt, lots of shame, lots of, oh my God, can't I get it right? Blah, blah, blah. And when she said that, it allowed me to have compassion for myself.
Yes.
It allowed me to forgive myself in some way. Because I never married anyone not thinking it was going to last forever. It wasn't like I said, I think I'll get out after 15 months if this doesn't.
Right.
I mean, whatever. So the last one is that astrology is a valuable tool to understand who comes into our life When, and why. You know, that's that whole reason, season, or a lifetime when people talk about relationships or for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I mean, when we understand the underlying energies of any attraction, whether it's romantic or it's family or it's friends or it's business, it, number one, it makes the relationship so much more fun because everybody's playing with a full deck. You know what I mean? Everybody's playing kind of full out, which is really what Playground for the Soul is about. I mean, I'm seeing that that's really my big umbrella, you know, is that everything, because everything's happening for us if we choose to see it that way, not to us. We can feel like victims sometimes, but if we know that I don't know what this is about right now, what this relationship breakup or this, I don't know where I'm going in my life or the money's not there or my health, but if I can trust that this has meaning and purpose and that somehow whatever any of us are going through, there's creative material in there for our journey to be able to assist someone else. So like our journey is never for naught, I believe.
I like that. You know, that's a big help because, you know, there are folks when they're struggling and it's hard to see past that. You know, I'm in the struggle and it's hard to see that the struggle is not just for me. For me, it's the struggle. It serves a greater purpose. Is that fair to say? Is that okay to say? Is my struggling for someone else as well as me? And so if I think of us as being connected individuals,
yes,
you and I are connected.
Yes.
But, you know, my struggle, which also will be on the flip side, then you in your highest glory, you doing your thing, you in that flow also serves me.
Exactly. And you just spoke that planet that you have next to the sun, Neptune, the dreamer, the inspirational, the compassion, that we're all in it together. That was that speaking. That was the minister in you speaking. That was that. I mean, it is that. That's the kind of energy that it is. It's sort of like that we're in it together in that, yes, you have your personal, quote, struggles. I have mine. We have our personal triumphs. And it all can be in service for the greater good, which is basically what you just said. See, it's interesting because I'm also born with that same planet next to the sun. I'm a Libra with Neptune next to the sun. You're a Scorpio with Neptune. So we're both dreamers. We're both idealists. we both have imagination. And I do tend to see the world through rose-colored glasses, you know? I mean, I would rather see what's possible, but see, here's the other part of that. What I've learned, and you're quite a bit younger than I am, so you can learn this earlier. Isn't that exciting? When I would fall in love with potential out there, right? Fall in love with somebody's potential. What I finally got to learn was I needed to become my own potential and my own ideal. So I didn't get pissed off at them when they weren't living out their potential, right? Because they were just mirroring the part of me that wasn't living my potential.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fascinating mirror. I mean, when we really get the beauty of the mirror thing, not the, oh, it's a mirror and the law of attraction. It's true. It's our vibration. And the astrology just adds richness to that premise, to that tenet, if you will, to that belief. You know, it's like, oh, I see why this person's in my life now. I need to learn about standing for myself. I need to learn about being true to myself. So I attract someone who's got Aries energy. You know, and then I get to look at that and I get to look at, boy, are they self-serving? And well, maybe I need to be more self-serving in my life right now, perhaps, you know, or maybe I need to be gentle and compassionate and I attract someone with Pisces energy. I mean, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see who we attract and then to see it through the astrological lens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you came on the show because that gives me a different way of looking at astrology, you know, not just from the horoscopes, you know, that people put out, but from a different point of view of looking a little bit deeper than who's compatible with me.
Yeah.
A lot deeper. at the people that I am attracting into my life, the people that are coming in and going out
Yes.
of my life.
Yes.
And so that actually is very helpful. You know, whether we're in an intimate relationship or not, it's interesting to see the people that, you know, come to your life for whatever reason, season, time,
Yes.
or place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm in awe every day, more than once a day, when I see that. I see that, or I see timing of things, you know, and I go, oh my gosh, that's perfect that they would have done that then. Sometimes I'm involved in that decision. It's part of my work. Many times I'm not, but I just observe, and it delights that childlike part of me when I see that wonder play out, you know, and go, oh my gosh, how perfect that they would have launched that or done that or felt that or had that conversation with their family member, you know, whatever it is. So, you know, I know for me that when I can come back to the joy place, that takes care of everything else.
Huh. Nice, nice. So then with the work that you do with folks, are you able to guide them? Are you, because you are a spiritual astrologer, are you able to guide people to like decisions, you know, here's a good time to launch this. Here's a good time to get married, or do you go that deep and that specific?
Absolutely. Again, it's, you know, I usually begin with their knowing of themselves, you know, in other words, because then those decisions that are timing oriented, like, is this a good time to launch this class? And it's not a woo woo.
Right.
It's basically, let's harness the energy. So
Yeah.
if someone is creating something that has to do with joy, I'm just picking this out of the air, then we would want to harness some Leo energy, you know, whether they would start it in August or, you know, whatever it is.
Right.
So yeah. And again, the more, what I love about this is it's helping people understand their wiring here and then taking that out. It's sort of like, you know, so it's really, you know, especially in Thank Your Lucky Stars Conscious Business Solutions, it's really looking at, oh, you're thinking of doing this and this and this. Oh, well, this might be a good time to do that because blah, blah, blah. Some people want to learn some of the astrological language. That's great. Some people, they couldn't care less. So it really, you know, it's not about that. It's not, you know, some want to know, well, why did you say that? Or, you know, what does that mean? Or, but it is a beautiful descriptor of human potential, you know, of being a diagnostic, and it's a timing tool. And that's where I'm in all the time, because here's this diagnostic and relationship. You know, like you and I, much like anybody else, they're two charts. We put the two charts together, we come up with the chart of the relationship. So I talk about, you know, most people talk about win-win. I talk about divine win-win-win, because
Me too. I love that. Yes.
yeah, you have a chart, you have a signature, I have a signature, and our relationship has a signature.
Win-win-win.
Win-win-win. So it's because two people may come together, let's say, the relationship may be about courage for both of them to stand their ground, to, you know, to be true to themselves, or they may come together for who knows why. But again, the astrological piece, it's like, oh, okay. And then I just kind of create the container to see how that's going to play out, and to be a guide as much as people, you know, want me to help them navigate the weather, you know. It's
Absolutely. Yes. And so can I ask you, because I know we need to wind up, but wow, this time that's going on now, it's the full moon. Is this a good time to make changes? Is this a good time to get into relationships, get out of relationships?
well, that's a really interesting.
And is that a fair question to ask you?
Yeah, it is. And I typically, you know, there are, and this probably is for another discussion, but there are 8 phases of the moon, because, you know, it's a 30-day cycle, right? The month, and each phase of the moon is 3 to 4 days. So the full moon phase began on Sunday morning, like 12:07 a.m. Sunday morning, and will be in effect until tomorrow night, your time, like 8:15 p.m. Pacific time. So that means we're still in the full moon phase. I typically suggest, because the energy's high, It's like the glass is full of water. So, and we pour more water in the glass. So where does it go? It spills over. So people can be more emotional. They can be more defensive, reactive, sensitive. So I usually suggest, especially at the full moon, don't make any major decisions. Be with what's coming up, and be very self reflective. Like, tell the truth to ourselves about what we're feeling, no matter how great it is or how crappy it is. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm still jealous of my brother. Or I can't believe that I haven't gotten over so-and-so. Or I can't believe that I'm scared about this. It's like, because full moons give us the opportunity to see things more clearly. The phase that starts tomorrow for 3.5 days is the disseminating phase. That's the what I call dog and pony show phase of the moon. That's we share what we've been learning. So, I use the moon phases. That's my major creation tool in my own life, but in my relationship with my clients, because there are certain activities to do during different phases of the moon, just like we're farmers. I don't plant crops, but we all plant crops. We plant our spiritual, psychological crops.
Absolutely.
So that is a fair question, but it's really, I think, important for people to monitor their own emotional heightening, because at a full moon, it can be so easy to say that very pissy thing that we go, oh, why did I say that? Why didn't I just not say that? So again, conscious, right? Conscious versus unconscious. You're too young. You may not remember the Flip Wilson line, which used to the devil made me do it, right? It's like, no, I'm not responsible. The devil made me do it. The planet Pluto made me do it, right? The full moon made me do it. Exactly. And so if you meet people that you start to feel that from, just go the other way, because they're using, in my opinion, they're using something that most people don't understand. They're using it as a control tool. They're using it as a place to project, as a place to blame. Oh, I couldn't help it that I lost my temper. Pluto squares my moon. You don't get it. That's astrological malpractice.
Run.
Exactly. Say that in English, please.
Right. Right there, that lets you know that person knows exactly what they're doing. That's right. Because again, who's going to argue with that? Oh my God, they just said Pluto squares their moon, and they said it in that tone of voice. That must be something bad. Because a lot of times people will ask, is that good or bad? And it's all good. It's all about unfolding, and the bad is only defined, but that's just our ego saying this is awful, when this very awful thing may be the next point of evolution for the person. And likely that's exactly what it is. And the people in our lives are the ones that shepherd us along. It's real easy to sit on top of the mountain and ohm and be at peace, right? But get into traffic, whatever, it's like, where'd my peace go? Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's still an inside job.
That's true. That is so true. Okay, well, first of all, Lorelei, I have to ask you, will you come back on this show?
Oh, I would love to.
Thank you, because I am excited. I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did. And I love that we didn't prepare for this. I mean, I love that this was spontaneous, which I think, again, speaks to both of our natures, because, and I thought too, well, I wonder how this is. And I went, you know what? It's trusting the process. There's so much information, trusting whatever the interaction between us would be, it would unfold, exactly as it's supposed to.
Absolutely. And it made for an awesome show. So yes, I look forward, of course, to having you back on the show. And we'll do this again here real soon, because I know there's folks who have lots of questions. Speaking of, for those who do have questions, because this will be on the YouTube channel, this is going to be put up as a podcast. How are folks get a hold of you? What's the best way that I can shoot people your way?
I think the best way, of course, if people have seen me here, they can see me live, but I think the best way is on Facebook, because I do my miracle minutes.
Yes, you do.
Every day, which, isn't that interesting? My miracle minutes are a dose of magic, joy, and inspiration.
Yes.
So, I mean, again, part of my brand is, and so they can leave me a private message there. They can, but that's a way, you know, to however often someone is drawn to do that. My intention, that's why I call it a miracle, because, you know, Course in Miracles talks about a change in perception. Well, that's my intention with the Miracle Minutes, that someone would watch that and it might just make some difference in their day, where they go, like maybe they have something right in the tip of their tongue that they want to say to this other person, you know, and they're so wanting to be right, you know, and they want to say it and they think they are right and they want to say it, and then they go, you know what? The moon's full. I don't think I'm going to say that. I think let me take it back in and let me look at what's really going on for me and wanting to snap at that person. Anyway, I think that would be the best place, because that way some, you know, people can sort of see the kind of messages that I share.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, and before we go, give us one of your wisdoms.
Oh, let's see. Well, since the moon is in Aquarius today, which, by the way, is the moon of our relationship. That's another discussion. Our relationship hasn't, so that's pretty interesting that you and I would be in our new 30-day cycle, and we haven't even, so that's pretty interesting. So I would say with the moon in Aquarius, the message would be that every one of us is a unique, individualized expression of the divine. And each one of us is a genius. Each one of us is brilliant and unique, and is here to bring something that only we can bring to the planet, and it's time. So whatever fears, whatever stuff is up for people around that, the urgings that people are feeling inside, it is the time to follow them and to trust that we don't have to do it alone, and that there are those, what I call divine collaborators, that are waiting for us to help us scale the mountain of our dreams, which is the full moon that we're in of Capricorn. It's like the mountain goat, you know, that's an amazing animal. And we can all be mountain goats now. It's like, you know, secure the footing, take another step up the mountain, and support each other along the way. So that's what I would say.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to come back on camera and let's wrap this up. And so I want to say to folks, I want to say thank you, everyone, to being on the show with us tonight. And of course, if you missed the show, then you can catch the replay. It's going to be on Facebook. It is going to be on YouTube. And of course, our new podcast station, which is Mixcloud. So you can find us there as well. So thank you all for being a part of the Peace, Love, Joy, and Bliss Transformation Show. Hope you got a lot of good information. Please make sure you connect with Lorelei on Facebook, Lorelei Robbins. She also has Robbins Cosmic Nest, and she does her. Ooh, Lorelei, was that a Miracle Minute?
Miracle Minutes, right?
Miracle Minutes. So make sure you connect with her so you can get Miracle Minutes as well. All right, folks. I'm going to say good night. Lorelei and I are saying good night to you, and thank you. Thanks for being the best part of the Peace, Love, Joy, and Bliss show. Good night, everyone.